New Vitamin Water Zero Sugar Pineapple Passion Fruit is packed with vitamins. Just like the amount of peas we packed in that sentence. It's packed like your tote bag. The one you stole from your ex. Or your overpriced half a studio apartment. Or extra rushed rush hour traffic. Packed like your calendar. Triple booked at 5, of course. Grab a Vitamin Water. Did we mention it's packed with vitamins?
This is the way.
We wanted men.
Welcome to episode 261, the Smugglers Galaxy podcast, your favorite Star Wars podcast for smugglers in the galaxy. Of course, as soon as I hit record, my dogs see something and start going crazy.
I can't hear them.
Okay, awesome. Zoom does good. We leave the windows open so they can see like out in the street, but people at this time of night walk around and walk dogs, so they always freak out that, oh, I didn't have there's my light. So yes, it's a fun barking. I call it their TV. I say, let me turn on your TV so they have something to watch. But yeah, Jason, you're a traveling man this week.
I am. I'm exhausted, but I'm here. I'm doing well.
We're fine here. You're fine. Everything's good. I'm actually surprised you were like, let's record Monday. I'm like, dude, you're going to be tired, but you survived.
I survived. Yes. It was a great time. It was a blast.
Yeah.
I was telling Jerry, it's like, I was so excited. It's like every other trip. I'm so excited at the start. And then as I'm going home, I'm just so exhausted.
Yeah.
But that's the sign of a good Star Wars trip.
Exactly. I'm definitely jealous of the Star Wars trip. So you were up at May of the North, the timing up in Canada. And timing just didn't work out with me this go around. So hopefully maybe next go round I can make some things happen. But yeah, how was it?
It was a blast. Our Canadian friends do such a marvelous job. It's like Rogue Fun. So it was great just to be a participant and not an event coordinator.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it was great. We, Jerry and I booked the same flight as Jerry, Kitty Randy, for those that are confused as to who I'm talking about.
Or Jerry Hancock or Andy Hancock.
Yeah. So we flew up together and Tony picked us up. And right away, it was just kind of odd being in a foreign country because I didn't recognize any of the brand names.
Ooh.
Like, I mean, it's just a completely different country. So there's different brands. And so the first Walmart and Home Depot we saw, Jerry and Tony pointed out, they're like, hey, do you feel like you're at home now? just joking around,
Were you able to find a Panera Bread?
Yes. Yes.
You know, it's a good trip when Jason can find a Panera Bread.
Yes. Well, it was on our way to the airport. We had time to kill, and we just wanted something light. And I think someone suggested sandwiches. So obviously, I don't know any of these places. Right. And I was just telling you, I don't know any of these brand names. We did eat at a Quiznos once. I kind of was Googling things, and I said, oh, a Quiznos. And Tony was like, oh, Quiznos. I haven't had that in a while. And so for old time's sakes, we went to Quiznos. And unfortunately, there was no hamsters singing to us.
We like the subs.
But yeah. But yeah, I did, when we were wrapping up, I Googled Panera on the way to the airport, and there was one, and it looked like it was in a very populated area.
Uh-huh.
And so I said, it looks like there's a lot here. So we can go here. Worst comes to worst, we can have Panera, but it looks like there's other things there. But we ended up just eating Panera.
Yeah. Awesome. So did you, y'all went to see the falls? Did you recreate the Jim and Pam wedding scene?
No, but I did see the Maid of the Mist drive up to the falls, so I was like, oh, maybe they're down there. But It sounds like a snobby thing to say. I've been to the falls before.
Yeah.
I lived in Buffalo for a year. We crossed. I mean, I was a kid though. I don't really remember much, but it was about 2014 was the last time I was at the falls.
Mhm.
But I was on the American side. Those intrusive thoughts do get in your mind. Like, I wonder what it'd be like to just get in the water. Because on the American side, like it's a horseshoe,
Mhm.
but most of the horseshoe, most of it's like on the American side. So if you want to see the full thing, you need to go to Canada
Right.
because you see the full horseshoe in front of you. But on the American side, you kind of just see part of it. It's just kind of like out there,
Uh-huh.
but the water is right next to you on the American side. It is on the Canadian side too, but it's like right. You could just lean over and
Mhm.
fall in kind of situation. And so those intrusive thoughts are there. But to go on the Canadian side and see everything, it's always great. And we were driving in, and I was like, "You guys see the clouds over there?" And Jerry and Tony were sitting up front, and they're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That's the mist from the falls because it just carries high, like
Oh, wow.
several stories into the air, and it looks like a cloud of smoke just rising out from the middle. And because of the temperature, it was like white smoke.
Mhm.
Sometimes it'll just be like so clear that it doesn't get that thick. What am I trying to say? It's not white. It's more clearish, and you can see like the rainbows and stuff. But this was like smoke coming up.
Oh, wow.
But once we were there, I think Tony and Jerry spent more time in the gift shop than they did looking at the falls.
Exit through the gift shop.
Yep.
Oh.
And you do get wet. Like the
Mhm.
further you walk, because you start from the top of the falls and you walk further down the canyon sort of that it creates, because the falls moves back 6 inches every year.
Mhm.
It's been doing that for millions of years. So there's this whole canyon sort of thing where it's just like carved into the land. And as you walk further towards that canyon, the mist from the falls gets on you and you get really wet and stuff.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd like that. I'm not
But
I'm
it's
not a I'm not a get wet person in my clothes.
well, it's still majestic, and you can feel the power of the falls because it is a lot of water. And I was just sitting there looking at the water pass by and just thinking like the force of that water is just immense.
Right.
And yeah, it's pretty great. And before we left, I got a group selfie with Tony, Jerry, and myself, but I made sure to take one photo where you only see Tony's shoulder.
Right. It was weird seeing Tony in like normal photos, like in the middle of the photo. I was
Yeah.
like, who is that guy?
But yeah, so that was Friday, and on our way back to the hotel, we did stop at a Toys R Us, and it was maybe like 20 minutes away. It's in St. Catharines, and it's a dingy old Toys R Us. It's been there.
Mm,
It's been there since the 70s or
one of the
80s.
good ones.
Yeah, it didn't have like the plastic front with the glass wall, like
Uh-huh.
some of the newer ones, it's just like a glass wall with Toys R Us on front on top of it.
Yeah.
This was like that house-shaped roof. It was all wood.
Yeah.
And so we went in there, and it's weird to be in Toys R Us. I was calculating it was like 9 years since the last time I was in Toys R Us.
Right.
I had all the feels of like, oh, I remember this feeling. I remember this smell. They were playing like some of the emotional music from the Batman, the Robert Pattinson stuff. And that just kind of added a little bit of tenderness to the moment. It was like, oh, this is sad. But we obviously went to the Star Wars section. And the weird thing was like, you could go, this is a Target exclusive. This is a Walmart exclusive. This is this exclusive. And it's all in one place in Toys R Us, because in America, it's in several locations, but in
Yeah.
Canada, it's all right there in one place. And it was weird to see. They also had like Black Series I've never seen before, because it's the international Black Series. It's stuff that didn't come to the States. It was the archive.
Uh-huh.
And the first Toys R Us we went to had Ahsoka. And I said to Tony, I was like, I've never seen this before. He's like, oh, isn't this the international? I'm like, oh yeah, you're right.
Wow. So
Um,
it's just different packaging, but the same Ahsoka?
it's it's the archive series, the black and grayish kind of packaging,
Yeah.
but it's the same old Ahsoka. It was just a way to get it out there again for some people who didn't get it the first time around.
Right.
And instead of It had something to do with the SKUs. I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm too tired. But they had, for some reason, they had to create a new SKU for the archive series. They couldn't just straight up re-release it and
Right.
whatever. But as we were walking out, there was a nice lady. There was only one lady at the front checkout, and she saw that I was wearing my Star Wars action figure shirt. And she's like, "Oh, you like Star Wars? Grab a poster." I'm like, what are these? And they're like, it was Darth Vader on one side. It was just like a maybe a 12 by 11 by 17 ish, maybe a little bit bigger. It was Darth Vader on one side, and then like on the top of it, maybe like a fifth of the poster was just several Black Series figures, and the rest of the poster was white. But the cool thing, it said Toys R Us Canada.
Right.
I'm like, I'm taking that, and she's like, she's like, we can't get rid of them. I'm like, oh, she's like, we got a Yoda one too. I'm like, I'll take that one too.
I'll have that.
And I was commenting to Jerry as we were walking in. I was like, I really like a Toys R Us shirt. I mean, just for nostalgia factor.
Mm.
And Jerry bought a puzzle. He was asking the lady, "You guys don't sell merch or anything?" And she said, "No, the U.S. corporate office doesn't let them use Jeffrey like that for whatever reason. So they weren't selling shirts." But she did say that that particular shop was struggling. If it wasn't for owning the lease on the building, they would probably be gone already.
Wow.
And so if they could sell the lease, the store will probably close down. They had a purple bench with a cutout of Jeffrey behind it, and the lady let us three sit in the bench, and we're like, we got to be careful. We don't know how sturdy this bench is.
She's probably like silly Americans.
Yeah, silly 40 to 50-year-old men who love their Toys R Us.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And on the way out.
Yeah.
On the way out, several people had written down their favorite things about that particular store. Mm-hmm. And Jerry took a photo that kind of encapsulated, "I will always be a Toys R Us kid." Someone had written that down on a comic card and slapped it right in the middle.
I figured that was one of you guys that did that.
No, it was there.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you see any Sabine TIE fighters while you were there?
No, they had the Gen X Starfighter for full price, $20. Mm-hmm. We went to a second Toys R Us because they wanted to see a more modern Toys R Us.
Right.
And they had the same thing, a Gen X Starfighter. Oh, I have a photo right here.
Uh-oh. Let's see.
I don't know if I can share it, but yeah, they had just a couple vintage collection things. They had a lot of the 5-point articulation toy thing that they have.
Yeah, the little kid version.
That was about it. It's just not much.
Yeah.
And then from there, we went back to the hotel, and we met up with a couple of the guys from the DC club, and one of the guys from the Pennsylvania club, Mike DiStefano, had brought his car. And so we were all going to go to Fourth Moon Toys. And Mike was like, "Well, come on in with us." So we all loaded into his car. There was about 6 of us, 4, 5, 6, 7 of us in his car. Driving through Toronto and making our way to Fourth Moon Toys. So Mike Freeman is one of the organizers of the event, May the North, and he's got his own shop in downtown Toronto. And it's all Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
And so when we pull up, there's like Gus and Dave Brott and Chris Dragulius and Elling, and there's a bunch of them all just like hanging out on the curb. And we pull up and we hop out right as they get in their Uber and take off. And we're like, oh, we just missed them.
Right.
But
there again, it was like, F those guys.
Yeah. But Mike has a bunch of cool stuff in his shop. It's weird with the price difference because I had to do math, which is a common theme on the show I'm not good at.
Right.
And for every dollar, it's about 71, 73 cents American. So even though something was $20, it wasn't really $20. So I had to figure all that out. Mike did have a bunch of micro machines. Obviously, I was attracted to that, but he had a bunch of Power of the Force mistakes, like a ATST driver upside down, Han Solo upside down, a Chewbacca figure on an Obi-Wan card,
nice.
C-3PO on a Luke Dagobah card. Had a bunch of busts like Salacious Crumb, and Gentle Giant stuff. He had a Cobot. I can talk. Cup.
Okay.
That was a couple $100.
Damn.
He had some German glasses
Mhm.
where Chewbacca was like, I don't even know how to pronounce this, Chica Cobetta, and then Wicket. I don't know, is that long way? It was Kiko.
Mhm.
So he had a bunch of those for 249. No, French glasses. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
There was 4 of them for $250, but that's Canadian. He had a bunch of carded figures. He had a Droids figure, C-3PO for $614. Again, that's Canadian.
Right.
He had a 12-back Darth Vader. He had a bunch of Black Series, a bunch of vintage collection. He had one of those life sculpt masks of Mark Hamill.
Ooh.
You know how it wasn't for sale. I think
Mhm.
there's a couple of them out there where Mark Hamill had to do a life mask
Yeah.
for makeup,
Right.
and people have made copies of that. So it was just cool to see that up in the shop on display. He had the Pepsi dispenser from episode 1, a vending machine.
Uh-huh.
They had like an episode 1 front for the vending machine,
Yeah.
and so he has the front up in the store. There's no vending machine. He's just got that front of it. But I picked up a Canadian micro machine, the Emperor's Royal Guard transforming playset.
Oh yeah, you had to have that.
It was open, but it was still with the box. The box is in rough shape, but it did say Gloob with a little Canadian leaf on it on the logo itself. So this is actually from Canada. And then it said Main Event Toys, which I still need to look into as to what that is. I don't know if that's a distributor up in Canada distributing Gloob stuff, but that was cool to see. And I'm like, that kind of has to come home with me.
Yeah, that did have to come home with you. So
But then,
how was all the panels and stuff?
panels were good.
Or am I skipping ahead? I'm sorry. You went to the toy thing not a toy toy factory.
Yeah, there was
right?
one more thing we did that Friday night, and then Saturday was all the panels. So I'll try to do this quickly. So 43 Hanna Street or Hanna Avenue, I can't remember, was where Irwin Toys used to be. It's a warehouse where I guess they packaged a lot of toys. And for the most part, it all had U.S. kind of stamps on it, except for the Snowspeeder, which says Canada on it in parentheses. That was the only vehicle that had that. But it's been, since this warehouse has been transformed into apartments, and I guess the guys that run the event have been looking for a while to try to get into this building and host an event, because this is where Irwin Toys used to be. They finally got access to a space in the basement that has been converted into like a community space with a TV and a table and some couches and stuff. So we were all were able to spread out and hang out and kind of catch up. There was a bar, so we were able to have drinks, and they had sandwiches, and some of the employees from Irwin Toys were there. I was so busy catching up with like people that I didn't have a chance to talk to those employees, and it looked like those employees were catching up with each other too.
Right.
So it was a little. I wish I had more time to hang out with them. I guess I was a little disappointed in myself for not saying hi to them, but
yeah. Well, I do find that when you get to an event like that, you end up finding your niche, or I don't want to use the word click because that's it's not the right word, but you find you find your people, and you end up sticking with them, and then like days later you're like, son of a gun, I should have talked to more people.
But Saturday, like you were saying, was the panels, and I'm trying to pull up who went first. Gus and Duncan from the Saga Museum. They went first to talk about what the Saga Museum is and what they hope to do with the museum. And I mean, they expect this to be like a grand museum. This is not going to be. It's going to have event space. It's going to have
nice
lecturing areas. They expect to have demonstrations on STEM, because Star Wars does include all of that stuff. You got your droid builders, you've got your customizers, you've got your artists, you've got all these things. So they expect to have an area where that can happen, and they can have lectures. They can host events, maybe collector themed events someday. So they talked a little bit about that. And afterwards, I bumped into Duncan Jenkins at lunch, and I asked him if he had a spot that he was kind of rooting for? Was there one place that he wanted more than the others? And he said they all have advantages, and he'd be happy anywhere. He said it would be cool if it was like LA or San Francisco because of the storied history and relationship to Star Wars. But you know, they all have their different pros and cons. So he'll take whatever. He'll be happy with whatever, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because I know when I've talked to them before, they're wanting it to be, a real easy, kind of hub that, they can get people that are vacationing there to
Yeah.
go. It'd be easy for somebody that, oh, they got a date, a week there, and oh, let's go look at the Star Wars Museum.
Yeah. They had the 501st came out.
Yeah, you got to figure out how to. Yeah, I was like, man, they did better with the 501st than we do.
Well, we do our thing in May the 4th when they're in high demand. So I think if anything, we need to shift our event to another weekend so they can participate. But they had a bunch of cutout cookies.
I saw that.
I really wanted to do with Rogue Fun, but the hotel wouldn't allow us. So maybe I'll talk to the new hotel and say, hey, could we do something like this? Some of the cookies were the warehouse for Irwin Toys. Yak Face, because Yak Face was essentially a Canadian exclusive. We didn't get it in the States.
Right.
Greedo, because Paul Blake, who played Greedo, was at the event. And then, depends on how you look at it, 4LOM or Zuckus.
Right.
He's known as Zuckus.
Yeah.
But Kenner called him 4LOM, Forlom. He never came to Canada.
Really?
Yeah, so they never got a Forlom in Canada. And so there's cutout cookies of Forlom.
That's awesome.
It's funny that they didn't get Forlom, but they got Yak Face.
Yeah, and Yak Face is like one of the most expensive figures in Forlom. I mean, is Forlom more expensive up there?
No, I mean he's just a regular figure.
Right.
There's no card back of him, so it's like he's just another figure.
Gotcha.
I would imagine if there's one or two Canadian Forlom card backs out there, people would be freaking out, but no. The other thing they had on display was the whole set of Canadian Star Wars box items.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Death Star play set, Jabba's Palace, the Land of the Jawas, the Creature Cantina, twin pod cloud cars, B-wings, and they had the Canadian boxed cardboard Death Star play set. So it's kind of like the Palatoy one. I think it's the exact same thing. It's just packaged in Canada.
Huh. I didn't know they did a Canadian one.
Yeah, so they got the Canadian one. They got the Palatoy one, and they got the American one. They got both play sets.
Awesome.
So, yeah. So all that was on display. And then following Gus and Duncan was Jim Swearigan, which, I've heard his panel before. And I think most of the people in the room had heard the panel before, so they did skip through a lot of the stuff at the beginning. This is my job. This is what I did, because we were all like, we know.
Yeah. It's like, we've hung out with you, dude. We know your story.
But the one story that did stand out was he's friends. They asked him what it was like to watch The Toys That Made Us, because right at the start, they recreate that moment when he walks into the studio and he meets, Debbie, Carrie Fisher's mom.
Debbie Reynolds.
Debbie Reynolds. They're like, this is Debbie Reynolds' daughter. Like, there's a whole reenactment there. And he said when he first watched it, he didn't realize what was going on, but then it clicked that this was his story. So he went back to watch it. And then the funny thing is he's now friends with the actor who played him. And he's following his career. But
That's great.
He's like, it's weird when you go to his IMDb page and the first thing that comes up is young Jim Swearigan. He's like, that's a weird thing to see.
Right. Yeah. It was funny. Because when I was hanging out with them a few months ago, you're trying not to be like, well, this is the guy that did Star Wars, because they're like, why are you in town? I'm like, Star Wars, and then he'll come up and be like, well, he'll give the spiel to everybody, and you're trying not to be like, spoil his fun, or let you don't want to, hey, we got a celebrity in the room, type situation. But he was not, and he was not afraid to let people know who he was, and they were just like, look at The Toys That Made Us, I'm in that, watch this episode. So yeah, it's fun.
And then The guy who plays Carson Teva, Paul Lee,
That was cool.
he lives in Toronto,
Oh wow.
and they said at the start of the day, like he'll be in a little bit, he'll have a table in the back signing things, and I'm like, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And it wasn't advertised that he was doing a panel,
Uh-huh.
but they're like, all right, here's Paul Lee, and I'm like, whoa, he's doing a panel.
Nice.
And I have to say, his story is incredibly inspirational.
Mhm.
I can't help but cheer for him because he is a fan like us. He grew up loving Star Wars. He's a Star Wars fan. He had all the action figures. He went off to college. His parents sold off the action figures. Like everything that's happened to us happened to him.
Right.
And he just comes from a very humble place. He understands the importance of this role. He was talking about how he went out to there was some sort of like Asian in film get together in LA, an Asian film actors conference or something like that, and he didn't really want to go. He's never really been to LA, but he decided to go anyways. And he goes out there and he meets Deborah Chow, who directed a couple episodes of The Mandalorian, and she directed all of Obi-Wan. And I guess back in her early days, she directed some plays that Paul was in Toronto. So she knew him. And she's like, I've been trying to get a hold of you. He's like, what? What's up? And she's like, do you like Star Wars? He's like, yes. She's like, we're filming Star Wars. You got to come out. So he came out. He was like, oh, shoot, I got to go home because he didn't have time. But he got home and his wife is like, you go back out there immediately. So he made arrangements. He went back out to season 1 of The Mandalorian. He got to see the puppeteers operate Grogu and all that fun stuff. And he was just really geeking out. And, Deborah Chow went off to direct her episode, and Dave Filoni's like, let's go out to dinner. So he had a private dinner with Dave Filoni and just hung out for a bit. And then he gets a call from his agent about a year later. What did you do? They want you for Star Wars. And so he's like, oh, yes, just say yes. I don't care if he was like, how much do I have to pay them to be in Star Wars? You don't pay me. I pay you.
Right.
So he goes out there, and it's one of the Carl Weathers directed episodes. And I guess they directed, he was in episode 7 or 8 before he was in episode 2. That's like they directed 7 before 2.
Right.
And so it was the Carl Weathers episode, and Carl was kind of like, who is this guy? He's the director. It's his episode. Why is he not having casting choices? So there was some tension there at first, but eventually he won him over. But the important part of the story was he went out there, and the day before he was supposed to shoot, Jon Favreau said, come on, let me show you around. So he was taking him around and showing him the volume, showing him the different sets. This is the interior of the Razor Crest. This is an X-Wing ship. This is that. And he's just like freaking out. And at the end of the day, he's like, all right, put on your costume. So he put on the costume, and then he looks down, and they're like, we need a helmet. And he looks down, and he recognizes immediately the helmet he's about to be given, which is Big's Darklighter helmet from the original movie.
Oh, wow.
Like, he's seen Star Wars so many times, he recognizes that's actual Biggs' helmet.
Oh, it's from the movie.
It's from episode 4.
Oh, wow.
And so he's like, look, I just want to put it on. You don't have to take photos. So he was able to put it on and everything and just geek out. But Jon Favreau did pull him aside, and he said, look, it may seem like we have lots of money here. It may seem like we've got all the technology and all the time in the world, but we really don't. And so the reason why, and this experience could be overwhelming for people, and the reason why we had you come out for the day is so that you can experience it, get all the emotion out, and come in focused tomorrow. He's like, oh, absolutely, I'll be focused. And so he was like, he completely, like, there was a couple of times he started crying on that first day taking around with Jon Favreau, but on the second day it was all business. And he said there was some tension sometimes because he was getting different notes. He was getting notes from Carl Weathers, he was getting notes from other people, and at times they were conflicting with each other, because I guess Jon Favreau has I don't know if it was John. He didn't give names. He just said Carl Weathers, because he's the director, had his ideas, and somebody else, I assume Jon Favreau, because he's doing the whole show,
right,
had other ideas. So they had to work through that for a little bit, but yeah, it was great. And then he talked about getting his own action figure and just being emotional about that. And his story is so inspirational. It was just a joy to be in the room and to hear him speak and to make eye contact with him as he spoke. You know, it's like he's talking to all of us, and every once in a while he'll look at me, and that makes me sound like a stalker. But I mean, it's different watching someone talk on YouTube as it is in person.
Right.
And so it was great. It was one of the highlights of the event. And then afterwards he was holding court with like Jerry, Tony, Dave Brock, Katie Lukens. You remember Katie from Rogue Fun? She had
messaged us and was like, "Are you guys at May of the North?" And we're like, "No, we didn't make it."
Yeah, so she was there, and after the panel, they got to a little sidebar and started talking, and it was just cool to see. I was like out back talking to someone else though. But it was still cool to see them do that. And then Paul Blake, who played Greedo, and Roger Christian, who originally designed the lightsaber, R2-D2, the Millennium Falcon. He went on to design the Nostromo from Alien. And he was also second unit director on Phantom Menace.
Wow.
They did a panel together. I really wish I could steal this panel because it's so perfect for Rogue Fun. Because they talked about filming the cantina.
Right.
And Paul Blake was obviously Greedo, so he was there, and someone asked him, like, what was it like with the talking device? He's like, I actually wasn't there for that one. They filmed that a year later in LA because of the reshoots. George wasn't happy with Greedo because he wasn't talking.
Right.
So
because I was going to ask about that because that's the one where Greedo is like in high heels.
Yeah. So, but he's like, there's a scene where Han, after he shoots Greedo, is walking out. You can see a Rhodian walk behind, and Paul's like, "That was me in the suit." So, I was talking last week with all the continuity errors. This is another one where even Paul was like, "That's me. How can that be me?" And George was like, "All Rhodians look alike."
It's a big galaxy, kid.
Yeah, but it was great. I mean, it was just a blast. I think those were the panels. Yeah, I think that was it.
Very cool.
And then afterwards, we did trivia. Our team got into second place. Obviously, Gus, Chris G, Duncan, that whole team, Elling, that whole team won by a point.
Oh, damn.
The one question I remember is the Battlestar Galactic toy that launched the rocket, and then the child unfortunately swallowed it and died. That whole campaign ended, and if you turned in your vehicle, what do you get back? What did they send you?
What did they send you?
A Hot Wheels toy.
Ooh.
We thought it would be, it's so weird. We thought it was a Cylon or some sort of figure, but no. And then we had room sales that went on for a while. I was up until 12:30.
What?
Past midnight, past my bedtime.
Look at you.
Yeah. And then Sunday morning, everyone was tired.
Yeah.
People were hungover. It was a couple of days of long days hanging out, and there was a toy show. So there's a conference room where they had May the North, the panel section, and in the back they kind of have a mini open area, and they had a toy show. So we were able to go walk the toy show and hang out a little bit longer. And this is open for the general public. I think there was a fee to enter. Obviously, anybody who purchased a ticket to May the North the full weekend got in for this toy show, but anybody who was just showing up on Sunday had to pay extra. Yeah. And Paulie was there again, and Paul Blake, who played Greedo, and Roger Christian was there, and Jim Swearigan was there, so people could get photos and hang out with them. The 501st came back. There was a couple extra Galoob Micro Machine pieces that were Galoob Canada that I was kind of interested in, but I had already packed at that point and couldn't fit anything else. And I had to cut myself off, and I had to say no.
Damn.
But then the most stressful thing, and I get anxiety about stupid things sometimes. I went to go check in for my flight on Saturday, and it said I was on standby.
Oh.
And I'm like, what the heck? So I went back in my receipts, and so I purchased my tickets, and then I used my miles because I've been accumulating miles to upgrade to Comfort Plus.
Right.
And I saw that I did that, and I saw that I had a seat number. So when we got to the airport, so I had to wait all day Sunday. And this was on the back of my mind, like, yes, I'll be on the flight. Yes, I'm not going to stay in Toronto, but I would really like this to be over.
Right.
And that's the kind of feeling I had all day. So I get to the airport, and the first thing I do is go to the counter, and the lady's like, they can maybe tell you why that happened, but they can't give you a seat. You actually have to go to the gate. I'm like, oh. So I had to go through security and all that, and there was nobody at the gate, so I had to find someone else. And they looked me up, and they said, you're going to be on the flight. We just don't have a seat for you. I was the first person to get a seat before anyone else because whatever happened, I just immediately went to the first person up, first standby.
Yeah.
And they had open seats, so I was on the flight. That's not a problem, but I did get my seat. Came home, got home around 9:30 last night. Had to go to work, and then around noon today, drove to Charlotte because I have to be at work in Charlotte tomorrow, and then I have to drive home tomorrow night, which is Tuesday, so the day this drops. So hopefully by Wednesday, my life will be normal again. That's the hope.
Hopes and dreams, right?
Yeah.
Awesome.
Someone just knock on my door?
I heard something. You're talking too loud.
Yeah. Well, there's people out in the lobby. Like, this is one of those hotels that it's square and it's open in the middle.
Yeah.
And there must be some sort of corporate gathering going on down there because it's really loud.
Gotcha.
I doubt I'm the problem right now.
It's you.
Yeah, not me. It's them.
Oh my goodness. No, that's awesome, man. I'm definitely, I need to hit it up next time, but it was just with other trips that we're still trying to recover from other things, and yeah, just work. It just timing was off. So hopefully next go around I can make it up there. So
yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat where I got, again, 2 kids in college. I'm lucky to go.
yeah, no, you were lucky. Yeah, no, you've got to take advantage of the opportunities when you got them, if you can afford it, or, you got, things when the cards fall, take them,
Yeah. So it was a great time. I would say if you're not going to go to Rogue Fun, definitely go to May of the North. Put this on your calendar. There's no announcement yet for May of the North 5, but if they do, I recommend doing it. It's a great time. A lot of great people. We just hung out all day Saturday. It was great catching up with people and talking Star Wars and catching up with what's going on with their lives, and 5 stars.
Awesome. Very cool.
Yeah, definitely worth it. And it's great to go outside the country. Things are weird in America, so it's good to go out and just like, I don't have to worry about that stuff for a minute.
And then everybody's like, what's going on with America?
Man, I'm not there right now. I don't care.
I don't know.
Close the border. I'm stuck. But yeah, it's great. It's a great time.
Awesome. Is there any other exciting news we need to talk about in Star Wars collecting?
I missed something.
Yeah, you're missing it. Like the HasLab funding.
Oh yeah.
Dude, I was not. I mean, yeah, we're shifting gears. So yes, I'm looking forward to going to May the North. Hopefully, yeah, like next go around. But anyway, yeah, the HasLab funded.
Yeah.
Amazingly enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm frustrated because Steve Evans will say, no, the numbers you see are live.
Yeah.
Those are the live numbers, and it's funded at like 8,000, 9,000. It was underneath the first tier. And then the next 3 days later, it just like shot up 1,000 more. So the first tier unlocked. I guess they added some third-party stuff, and I'm like, you're talking out both sides of your mouth.
Right.
You're telling us that at first this is the number, but then automatically, somehow, magically, this first tier gets unlocked.
Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, what happened? I mean, and what would have happened if it didn't fund? Let's say it didn't fund, and then 2 days later, we got 1,000 more people, and everybody went, I already spent that money on something else.
Yeah, what happened with the Rancor? Because the Rancor was missing like 350 backers.
Right.
What happened to the 1,000 people that could have backed that thing?
Yeah, exactly. And I think the Rancor would have been a better figure.
What's changed there? So If you got it, great. I hope you enjoy it. I hope it adds value to your collection. And by value, I mean I hope you it's rewarding.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, I don't want to speak things into existence, but it does feel with it having that low of a number that there is the potential of it being another sail barge, but you don't know because I think the sail barge was something that they never released. And this is the fifth or sixth LAAT that they released in several different sizes.
Yeah.
Micro Galaxy Squadron did them, Hot Wheels did them. I mean, they've LAATs are nothing new.
Yeah.
So that the only thing I would assume is if somebody wanted the bigger LAAT would make this thing worth something.
I think the more interesting story for me is the number of backers is diminishing.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's economically, if it's the lack of passion in Star Wars, if the HasLabs are just not enticing people anymore. Are they seeing through this as just a cash grab and not something true? Because that LAAT, we were talking last time, it's the same size as the Razor Crest, but it's more money. But I know there's 4 or 5 years in between those two.
Right.
I think a better example might be the Star Speeder, which has lights, has an LCD screen, it's got sound, and that thing's $350. This thing's $500 without all that, $450.
Right.
So it's $100 more without the electronics. That thing probably should have been filled with clones. You should have had all the clones to just deck that thing out.
Mm.
But whatever, it's over, and it's weird.
Yeah, I mean they could have thrown in one of those boxes, the white boxes of clones for nothing.
Yeah.
And then I think it would have made that ship more enticing. Or did they? Because it didn't have the gunners in the front, right? The gun balls or whatever, gunner balls. I don't know what they call them.
They're on the side. They're under the wing.
Okay.
But they're there. But yeah, like they should have had a couple more clones. It's the same molds. Just throw them in there. I mean, they sell them for like $11 when they're in that box set, $14.
Yeah.
To just raise the price of the LAAT for what, $20-$30 and throw in a couple more clones. Like, we're at the value.
Right. I mean, they could have done it and not even raised the price just to add the value to it, but whatever. I mean, I'm amazed it funded. I'm like, hey, like you said, if you're happy with it, congratulations that you got it. And yeah, I'm watching like you guys, everybody in the chat that there's like so much stuff is hitting this month.
Yeah.
It just seems ridiculous that much stuff is hitting right now.
It'd be great if they could break this up a little bit and not just throw the Bantha and the Land Speeder at the same time that the Cantina playset, whatever, not the playset, but the retro vintage collection where they painted the vintage collection figures the same color as the vintage Kenner figures.
Right.
That's hitting. That's a couple $100. Or not a couple hundred. It's like $60-$70. But it's going to add up all in 1 month. And it's like, can we not, like you're saying, can we not space this out a little bit, please?
Right. I mean, I guess they need the money, but geez. Yeah, they're gonna piss off some people, and that may be one of the reasons why it didn't, have as many backers. But I mean, have you gotten any of that stuff? Have you had a chance to look at it?
Yeah, last week when I haven't had a chance to look at it, but last week when we were talking, FedEx had made a delivery. That was my Bantha and my Land Speeder, so I was able to pick that up.
Yeah. Oh, I remember the joke that I made that it was going to be slow. It's going to take all day to get there.
Yeah, it got there. My only concern with the diminishing interest in HasLab is if there's something I really, really want, and the hobby is just kind of collapsed on itself and fans are no longer happy about it, that it's going to make it even more difficult for me to get the things that I want because they loaded it with like a LAAT that seemed to have a lukewarm response.
Right. I really think, and I know we're rehashing stuff, but they need to probably let's do $100 HasLab. Let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Or $200 HasLab or something. But do one between $150-$200. Let's see what happens.
Yak Face did a poll and wanted to know what expression they should have the next HasLab to be, and It was vintage collection, maybe retro, and the Black Series. And Black Series was overwhelmingly the favorite.
Really?
Yeah, but I just don't see that happening. I think they're done with the
No.
Black Series HasLabs. You can't do vehicles; they're too big.
No.
You can't do creatures; they're too big.
Hmm.
And characters will just throw it out in the store shelves.
Right.
It's not worth their time.
Yeah, it's not, and yeah, I think people are getting frustrated. I think, because it feels like you're having to not. I mean, obviously you're funding it, but they're crowdsourcing money. So they're asking money up front so that they can produce these toys. Where it's like you're $1 million company, you should be able to afford to produce this toy and see if it sells.
Yeah. Oh, Gus did he did a second panel after lunch.
Uh-huh.
His whole story and how he got into collecting,
Oh, that'd have been cool.
and he did like lessons learned in collecting, and he used to collect prop replicas.
Hmm.
But then when he started collecting actual props, he realized that he had to go through and spend time. No, that's a replica. This is real.
Hmm.
And the replicas were taking up space, and he was getting more, so he decided to sell his replicas. So he talked a lot about pruning
Yeah.
and just cleaning up your collection, which got me thinking about those actions that I need to eventually make, and is there anything I can do? So
Yeah.
it's thought provoking, and I really enjoyed his story. So that was another
That's
thing.
awesome.
But going back to what you're kind of saying and making room for items, like I don't know, you're saying something that connected me to that thought
Like just now or late
just
or
now, but it's all right.
yeah. I mean, I don't know. No, it was funding or crowdfunding or I don't remember where I was going.
We don't have room for this stuff.
Yeah, we don't have room for the. I mean, it's getting to the point where, like you said, you got millennials, they're trying to downsize and they're not going to want us to have a 3 or 4 foot lat, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I need to get down and it also it's like, I realize that my collection, I haven't been down to really spent time in my collection room for months. I mean, yours is a little different because it's right off the side of you walk by it every day. But like mine's in a part of that. I walk by mine every day too, but I don't think about it.
Yeah, I'm in a weird place right now because I've got the cantina set up. The ghost is too big, so it's sitting on the couch right now. I got to find a place for that. I might clean off the refrigerator in the garage to put the ghost up there. I've got a bunch of 3D printed heads sitting around the floor, which takes up a lot of space. I have a bunch of Coke cans sitting on the floor right now that I need to decide what to do.
Yeah.
Found out that in Canada there's different Coke bottles because they're a liter, they're smaller,
Oh.
and they're in two languages because everything in Canada needs to be two languages by law. So I brought 5 of those back. But I was, to be fair, I wasn't the only one.
Right. No, I get you, man. It's hard when you're in another country and you see stuff that you can't find in your country, and it's cheap stuff like a can of Coke. So what you spent maybe $10 on cans of Coke to bring back,
Yeah, I mean, if I got a Coke, I made sure I got a different person,
Right.
and then I just shoved it in my bag. But then they asked Jonathan McElwain, who does food products, like, what's the proper way to collect food products? Is it the wrapper? Do you take everything out? And he said originally, like the old school Steve Sansweet and Duncan Jenkins used to just like take the wrapper
Mhm.
and throw out the can. But then they're like, well, you can't put the wrapper back on.
Right.
Once it's off, it's off. So they think now the proper thing to do is to leave everything as is. Soda, you kind of have to pop it out and get
Right.
the soda out. They'll either cut the bottom off to leave the top so it looks like it hasn't been open,
Mhm.
or they'll poke a hole at the bottom to drain all the stuff so it still looks like it's intact and it doesn't explode.
Okay.
Excuse me, but there is no answer. I guess it's personal preference. I saw some people making like laminated cards out of the Coke stuff
Mm.
so they can keep the label.
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
Yeah, and like you, because I remember hearing stories from friends of mine that were like, "Yeah, we kept those Pepsi cans, and then like 10 years later, in the middle of the night, you just start hearing pop, 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 pop." So,
Get down, gunfire.
so yeah, those you gotta, at least on the cans, you gotta, or the sodas, you definitely gotta pop those. But
Yeah, I might just take the labels off and try to find a way to preserve the labels or something. I really, I told myself at the start of the summer I wasn't going to collect these damn things, and here I am. They're lit. They're just taking up space in the floor in my collecting room. They got to go. So
yeah,
I got to figure something out with that.
yeah, and that's sort of where I'm at. I mean, I need to, and like I keep saying, the sad part is that I probably there. I don't know. I'd have to sell half my collection to get anything, because all the stuff that I'd want to sell, it's all loose and nobody would really want it. It's not. I don't know. People may want it. I don't know, but I've been real tempted to just get a big, the big gallon Ziploc bags and just start putting my Micro Galaxy Squadron stuff in, like the stuff that I have, the stuff that I don't care about,
Yeah,
that I just bought to support the line. Just put them in
yeah,
Ziplocs and sell them for $10 each. See what happens.
yeah. I've kind of slowed down with Micro Galaxy Squadron. It's just I'm not the only one either. I talked to several people. Bill Fryer up in Pittsburgh, he's the same way. He's
Mhm.
looking for a couple that he wants, but he just got burnt out with the chases.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I knew that was going to happen. We're completists. We're
Yep.
completists. We want to collect this stuff.
Yeah.
Give us the items we want. Why would you put the land speeders at 5,000? It's an iconic vehicle, and you made it incredibly difficult to track
Mhm.
down.
Right.
Of course, it's going to have adverse effects.
Right. Well, that's just like Playmates when they were doing Star Trek. They did a series where they were like, "Oh, Star Trek came out in like 1970, so let's do a series that it's only 1970, 1977 or whatever year. I know that's not the right year, but and that killed the line because everybody was like, I can't buy these figures, so F you. I'm gonna get rid of my line because
Yeah,
I can't complete it. So when you do something like that, you shoot yourself in the foot.
yeah. So that's all
Yeah.
I know.
That's all I got to say about that. But then I was talking to Kelly at Second Chance, and he said that he thought the X-Wings, not the X-Wings, like the TIE fighters and the Army Builder stuff, you probably, those are going for like $20 because people are Army building them and you can't find them anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But those are just regular vehicles, right?
Yeah, they're just the regular TIE fighters and X-Wings.
Yeah. The things that weren't meant to be collected are being collected.
Right, because people want to Army build and they want to do dioramas.
Yeah.
And it's easy to do a diorama with those little ships.
Yeah, I still want to do the second Death Star chase
Oh,
diorama. I got to get that done.
Mm.
I just don't have time.
Well, you made all the heads, so, but yeah, you'll get there one day after Rogue Fun.
Eventually, yeah. I'll take a 3-year break this time.
Yeah, maybe.
Definitely.
Yeah.
But if there is one at all, this might be it. So buy your ticket.
Yeah, you say that. I mean, I don't know. You may get the wild air. Do it again.
Buy your ticket. Yeah, we sold another ticket, so we're almost like a hair away from 75% sold.
Oh, that's awesome. I think once when it gets closer, it'll sell a little better.
Yeah. I was talking to another collector and they think the same thing. Like it's in that lull, like I keep saying. And once it gets closer to the event, we start announcing things. People are going to be like, "Oh, I need to go."
Right. No, or people are like, well, I need to save the money or, I need to get the money together to buy a ticket. And then, I mean, yeah, the tickets, it's an expensive ticket, but you're going to get your money out of it. Uh, especially because you're going to get dinner Friday, Saturday, so that right there is half the ticket, I think. In my mind, that's,
Yeah.
my math, my head math.
Yeah.
And,
I'm also providing dinner of some sort at my place too. I haven't got that far yet, but that is the plan. So
awesome. So
it'll be a fun weekend.
Yeah. So, but you're also spending money on tickets. You got to get a hotel room. You got to figure out how you're going to get down here. It's a lot. It's a lot to get into.
I know Narayan's going to hear this, and I apologize, Narayan. But Narayan was talking to Narayan's. he's awesome. He was talking to Paul Blake. He was talking to all these people, just kind of planting the idea in their ear about Rogue Fun. And he was talking to Mike, who runs the event, and the actual day event. Mike offered us an opportunity to go up on stage and pitch the thing. And I was like, oh, that's so nice. I was like, you and Jerry go. I do enough. And so when the time comes, we thought we had like 10 minutes. We went up to our room to get something, and it's Tony, myself, and Jerry in the elevator. We can see into the room, and Ryan's like flagging us down, like, come on, it's time. So we get down there, and I go, Jerry, you go up there. I don't need to be doing this. And Ryan's like, come on up. I'm like, no, you guys do this. I do enough. He's like, come on up. I'm like, fine, I'll go up. So they're standing on stage, and I'm kind of 1 foot off the stage, just kind of like hanging out, like I don't need to be doing this. And Ryan's saying something. He's welcoming or telling everybody about Rogue Fun. He's like, here's Jason. He's got something to say. I'm like, I don't need to be doing this. I was trying to give you guys the spotlight. I don't need to do this. I do enough. But it turned out well. And so, like, I saw a couple of people like nodding, like, yeah, it's a good event kind of thing, like giving us that reaffirming nod. So
awesome.
I think people appreciate the effort that we do, and I really appreciate everything that Ryan did and Jerry does. So, and you too, Glenn. I don't want to leave you out, but I'm talking that weekend and talking everything up. I don't want to sound ungrateful or anything. I just thought it was a funny story. I'm like, no, you guys do it. You guys are good. You guys are the talkers. But
awesome. I'm glad you guys had fun. Yeah, I definitely I definitely had some FOMO going in the weekend, but I'm glad y'all had fun. So we'll
I did hear one interesting story that I'll kind of relay. There's news, but we'll do that next week.
Yeah.
About the rocket firing FET before it was the $250,000 toy, $500,000 toy. Back when they were still being discovered and being traded about for just other prototype action figures before it was like this heavy $1 million thing. When people would actually play with it, and the rocket firing feature was like a lame duck. It would have been the worst toy in the world because it just kind of tumbles out. It doesn't like fire off.
Right.
It doesn't even make like a good 3-foot arc. It's just like it just spills out, like almost like you're just flipping something. Which I thought was interesting because in the back of my mind, like I think of like that scene in The Mandalorian when Timothy Oliphant as Cobb Vanth leans forward and that rocket fires out. Like that's what I have in the back of my mind. But I guess no, you push the spring and it just like. Did I freeze for a second there?
No, you're still there.
Okay. It just like flips out. It's like nothing. I was like, oh, all that hype and it's a crappy toy.
Right. Yeah. I'm curious because I've got one of the modern ones that they released a few years ago, and it's carded, but even that card is like $100 figure. Yeah. And it's like, I'm not that curious about it now.
No. I'm sure they engineered it to perform better than it originally did.
Right. Plus, I think it's got a longer rocket.
Yeah. So it's heavier.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I still remember my wife. We were touring a collection, and she was like, "Well, do you have a rocket firing FET?" And he goes, "Here," and just drops one in her hand, and everybody's freaking out. And she's like, "Where's the rocket?" And the guy was just like, "No, thank you. I will take that back now."
Yeah. I did hear a story about like the early days, and they couldn't get a rocket. They couldn't get a rocket firing FET, so they just got the rocket. There was a surplus of rockets, so they were just buying rockets for a couple $100. But then, when the market for the rocket firing FET started to increase, people wanted the rocket to go with their FET,
right?
And so those rockets went from like a couple $100 to a couple $1,000 because supply and demand. I've got the FET, you've got the rocket. I want that. You got to pay up for it. So It's just an interesting example of supply and demand and how things shift like that. So
right, and it's fun when you see people that are somebody has a tackle box full of weapons that they bought for like pennies on a dollar. That you're just like, those are hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, and they paid nothing for them 20 years ago. But also another interesting rocket firing FET is there's a rumor that some of them might have been handed out as Halloween candy.
That's a rumor, but with only like 100 in existence, some people say that's not true.
Yeah. Okay.
It depends on which collector you ask.
Mm. I mean,
Some
I
people
if
some
go ahead.
people swear it happened, but other people are like definitively that did not happen.
I could see one or two getting out with that story. I mean, it wouldn't have been, to dozens of them, but from what I've heard from Cincinnati, where they're just giving toys out like they're candy,
Yeah.
to schools and stuff. I can see something like that happening, but yeah, I'd want to do
Well,
more research.
there was a story about that one fet that was painted. It came with a box. It was like $1 million seller.
Uh-huh.
Maybe it was David's podcast. Go back and listen to it. I think the story was that they might have even made like 100,000 of them, and they were sitting on a pallet, and an employee might have taken that one
Right.
before the rest were destroyed because of what happened. And so maybe even up to 100,000 were produced and ready to be shipped when everything was closed down. But again, we don't know for sure. But I think that
Right.
was David Quinn's podcast, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. Wow. It's crazy that they had that many of them made.
Yeah, that was pretty far in production, is my understanding.
I mean, that's why if you look at the back of a FET, you could see the indention
Yeah,
because all they did was cover it up.
yeah. And then as the plastic cooled, there wasn't enough plastic in the mold to make it firm. So as it cooled, it dipped in.
Yeah.
So cool stuff.
Yeah, I gotta love the Boba Fett. So, anything else? Any
I'll
more
just
stories?
No, I think that's it for the stories for the week. If I remember anything, I'll bring it up next week.
Yeah.
Dan Gilroy won for best writing at the Emmys for Andor.
Yeah, I saw that.
It won 4 other awards in the technical categories, but that was the only big award that it brought home.
Yeah.
So congratulations to them.
Yeah, awesome. Congrats.
And I have to do this mad memory. Thank you for listening to Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and 5-star review the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. Really helps us out and points people to our show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Afonso Riviera for this. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. Send us an email. Message us. We love feedback. We'd love to make you part of our show. And then I say the email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Afonso Riviera for the Smuggler's Galaxy logo. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the music. People collect for the love of it. Hashtag vote with your wallet. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.
I miss you, Tony.
Oh.